Anime is often seen as something for kids and teenagers, so it makes sense to make stories in a setting that they can understand and insert themselves into. And when I was that age, I did that exact thing. But as I grew older, I realized that finding anime in a setting other than a school or a generic isekai world is extremely difficult. Of course, there are anime you can find, but if you're like me and not a toddler, and want to see the more adult side of anime, then Gangsta might be what you're looking for. Gangsta came out in 2015 and takes place in the city of Ergastulum, which is in Italy, maybe? It doesn't exactly say, but that's the vibe it gives off. It's about two mercenaries named the Handymen, who will take on jobs from anyone without taking sides, as long as they have the money to back up their request. And due to a war a couple of decades ago, superhumans were needed to fight, so soldiers took the drug Cerbrit, which enhanced their physical abilities. The children of these super soldiers also gained these abilities, but were put into slavery and forced to become mercenaries named Twilights. One such Twilight is this deaf guy Nicholas and his non-Twilight partner Warwick, and these two are the Handymen. Now, with the basic premise out of the way, let's move on to the cool shit. Nick is a superhuman badass that fights with extreme skill using a katana. Usually he seems rough, but on the battlefield he comes alive, showing a sadistic smile as he cuts down his enemies. Also, disabilities aren't shown often in anime, and when they are, it's usually as a damsel in distress that the main character has to save. But Nick being deaf is a really cool addition to his character, as he has to read lips or use sign language to communicate. And as far as I can tell, they did a really good job of it. His partner Warwick is the exact opposite of Nick. He is a non-superhuman that fights primarily with guns. He is a smooth talker while also being calm, easygoing, and kind-hearted, wanting to protect those around him. But despite this, it always seems like he is hiding something. And to touch on the adult nature of this anime, Warwick's side gig is getting laid to get some extra cash. These two being opposites entices my curiosity and makes me wonder how these two partnered up and why they trust each other so much. Which highlights one of the reasons this anime stands out. We are essentially dropped into this anime with no context. And throughout, we have to try and work out the lore and what happened in the past. Characters may hint at something that happened, but may not give us all the answers. Also, seeing the city itself and the different parts of it function shows that this world has a lot of thought put into it, as it has existed before our main characters and will exist long after. It's interesting seeing characters that clearly have a long history with this city, to see the problems they have with the world. It's cool to see things that aren't usually in anime, like hookers and how that all works in the powerful families that form the mafia, and how they deal with Twilights. Everything in this anime feels like it is grounded in reality. Yes, there are superhumans, but somehow they still feel realistic. They aren't perfect, and no one is. Every character is going through some struggle or problem or have some dark history, because the world around them is fucked, so they are too. The fight scenes and overall violence doesn't hold back. There are a lot of guns and a lot of people getting shot, which is fairly uncommon for anime, and seeing it be so out there was somewhat refreshing. The Twilights getting into fights is also incredibly entertaining, as these superhumans fight with swords and all manner of weapons to best their opponent. Every fight may not be flawlessly animated, but each Twilight fights in their own style, creating unique sequences, and seeing their strength, speed, and wondering how strong each one is excited me to no end. However, this anime most likely won't get a second season. The studio that created it went bankrupt 2 days after Gangsta finished airing. Also, the overall art of Gangsta is ordinary. It does look good, and most of the time it is animated very well, but it isn't stylized in the way that makes me know it's Gangsta. It's everything else that makes this anime so unique, from the setting to the music. Gangsta's opening is such a bop. The visuals aren't too crazy, but it is animated very well and has some eye-catching use of color. Whereas the ending is just wow. I don't exactly have the right words to explain, but the song itself is probably one of my favorite endings, and that with the visuals just creates such a beautiful ending to such a unique anime. Also, Gangsta's soundtrack throughout is just peak. It was made by Suchi, who also created music for Samurai Champloo. And if you have seen that, then you know how good the music is. Gangsta is such a rarity, where anime combines with a harsh reality that's grounded in realism. While the art may be ordinary, the characters, story, music, and setting all join together to create an amazingly unique spectacle. So if you need something to watch and this sounds interesting, give it a shot and hopefully you enjoy it. Thanks for watching, and if you liked the video, subscribe and comment, I respond to those.